The chill of Alaska's mornings always carried a hush that felt sacred. For Tim, that hush wasn't emptiness. It was a living hymn of wind through pine needles, distant bird calls echoing off mountain faces, and the soft sigh of snowmelt trickling past his cabin's stone steps. His little cabin lay at the heart of a wilderness, so vast it seemed carved by ancient glaciers. Everywhere he looked were dense stands of spruce and fir, their dark green boughs weaving shadows on the forest floor. Beyond them, mountain peaks stood like silent sentinels, their crowns dipped in snow even as the sun climbed higher. Here, life moved at nature's pace, slow, deliberate, untouched. But that simple morning, as gold light filtered between branches, Tim's world was about to shift on an unseen axis. As the first pale rays reached his porch, Tim stirred from sleep to the soft, rhythmic tap, tap, tap of scratching at his front door. He rubbed his eyes, heart still half lost in dreams of wilderness panoramas. The sound was familiar, yet different. He'd heard bears paw at his door in winter, drawn by the scent of stored food, and foxes leave their delicate prints by the window. But this scratching had a lighter, more urgent note, like a gentle plea. Tim's mind raced. Was it a curious fox? A young bear testing its strength? He slipped on his boots and padded across the worn wooden floor, each creak matching the surge of anticipation in his chest. When he drew back the curtain, he braced himself for a bear's broad shoulder or a fox's sleek flanks. But the sight that met his eyes was altogether unexpected. Perched on the threshold was not a fierce bear or sly fox, but a creature of legend in these parts. A lynx kitten. A lynx kitten. Its tufted ears swiveled as it looked up at him with wide, bright eyes that seemed too big for its small, lithe body. Lynxes in Alaska were whispered about in hunting cabins, but seldom seen. They moved like ghosts, slipping through moonlit forests in total silence. Yet here it was, a fragile bundle of fur, as if someone had tucked a bit of wild magic onto his porch. The kitten's fur was a soft grey, brown, dappled with faint spots, and its little paws left tiny impressions on the wood. It trembled ever so slightly, a stark contrast to the confident stillness of adult lynxes. Tim felt a pull in his chest. This kitten was lost, hungry, perhaps separated from its mother, and it had nowhere else to turn. His instinct as a wildlife photographer shouted, "Isnap the shot!" But another voice, softer, more urgent, whispered, "Help, carefully!" Tim unlatched the door and stepped onto the porch. The kitten froze but did not flee. It seemed to weigh his every movement, as though deciding if this human might be friend or foe. Tim reached inside and fetched a bit of leftover salmon from his fridge, placing it on a flat rock near its paws. He backed away slowly, heart hammering in his ears. The kitten inched forward, nose twitching, then began devouring the salmon in small, eager bites. Each tremor in its body spoke of hunger that had gone unfilled for too long. Tim watched, breath caught in his throat, as the kitten paused between nibbles, lifted its head, and met his gaze with a look that felt like a thank you only another living soul could understand. No sooner had the kitten finished the last flake than it gave Tim one final glance, a tiny, solemn nod of recognition, and bolted off the porch. It vanished between the tree trunks with the speed and silence that made lynxes so legendary. Tim stood rooted, hands still hanging at his sides, the porch suddenly echoing with absence. The early sun warmed the boards beneath his feet, but the silence now felt heavy, charged with the memory of those soft paws and bright eyes. He pressed a hand to his chest, as if holding in a secret too wild to share, wondered how this fleeting moment could already feel so profound. The next morning brought no scratching, but rather a gentle stirring in Tim's chest, an unexplainable tug toward the window. He rose on tiptoes, part hope, part curiosity, and peered out. There, bathed in the cool dawn light, was not one tiny kitten, but 7 lynxes in perfect formation. 6 kittens tumbled at the feet of a regal adult, presumably their mother, whose gaze swept the area with calm vigilance. These little ones rolled and leaped over each other, tangled in rolls of fur and laughterless chirps, practicing the pounce that would one day feed them. Their mother perched on the porch edge, her posture relaxed yet alert, as if granting Tim rare permission to witness this family scene. The world outside held its breath. The forest seemed to lean in, the birds stopped singing, and even the morning breeze paused to watch. Tim's hands shook as he lifted his camera to his eye. Every click of the shutter felt like an invocation, freezing playful paws mid-air, capturing sunlight glinting off dense fur and framing the curious tilt of a kitten's head. He knelt, lay flat, and moved with as much stealth as a lynx, desperate not to disturb this magical tableau. Each shot was a gift, each frame a window into lives governed by instincts older than humanity. He could almost hear the soft thud of kitten hearts, bright with excitement, and the measured exhale of the mother's contentment. For a moment, Tim forgot about the world beyond the lens. He existed solely in this chamber of wild wonder. As he lowered his camera, awe settled deep in Tim's bones. This wasn't just about getting the perfect photograph, he realized. It was about recognizing a truth too often overlooked. Wild creatures belong to worlds we can only glimpse, and even then, only at their invitation. The mother lynx's punctual disinterest in him spoke volumes. She allowed his presence not out of trust, but because he showed no threat. The kittens, oblivious to the rarity of human eyes on their play, tumbled on as if life's greatest joy were to chase and be chased. Tim felt gratitude swell in him so fierce, it made his chest ache, a gratitude for being let into this private act of nature. Time slipped by in silent chapters. The sun climbed higher, shadows retreated, and one by one the kittens followed their mother off the porch and into the forest's embrace. They moved as a single creature, weaving between trunks and underbrush, until even the smallest kitten's paw prints faded from the forest floor. The porch, now empty, felt too quiet, as though nature itself were holding its breath after a powerful refrain. Tim stood in the sudden hush, the crisp air settling back around him, and understood the fragile gift he had received. A rare, unfiltered look at a wild world would go on, brilliant and unbothered, beyond human sight. Later that day, Tim sat on the same porch, laptop open, as the photograph scrolled past on screen. Each image reignited the wonder of the morning, but alongside the thrill of the visuals came a quiet lesson. These lynx families belong to untamed lands, not to cameras or social media pages. They needed solitude and safety more than spotlight. He bookmarked organizations working to protect Alaskan wilderness, resolved to support measures that kept forests intact, and to share his photos, not for likes, but for awareness. After all, what good was a stunning image if it led to habitat shrinkage or tourist encroachment? His heart ached with the weight of responsibility that came with such moments. In the days that followed, the forest around Tim's cabin returned to its usual tempo, wind chimes of leaves, woodpecker taps, and far-off eagle cries. The Lynx family did not revisit, though he often found fresh paw prints in the snowmelt or caught a fleeting silhouette at dusk. That was enough. It reminded him that true wildlife encounters are never guaranteed. They're gifts that arrive unannounced and depart without fanfare. And perhaps that ephemerality is part of their power. It's a reminder that wild things should remain wild, free from disruption, living on their terms in the vast expanses that define their true home. As evening shadows stretched across his porch, Tim pressed his hand against the weathered wood, recalling the soft tremble of that first kitten and the riotous play of the seven. He smiled, thinking about the stories those images would tell. Stories not just of animal antics, but of connection, respect, and wonder. He whispered a quiet thank you into the twilight, imagining the kittens curled safe beneath dense spruce and the mother lynx paring down her cubs with patient eyes. Then he closed the door gently, knowing that Alaska's wild heart beat strong beyond those walls, and that, if fortune smiled on him once more, he might one day hear that soft scratching and step into another unforgettable moment. In the end, Tim carried the story of the Lynx family in his veins, in every click of his shutter, in every sigh of wind through the trees, and in every quiet reflection on what it means to be a respectful guest in the realm of wild things. And though he longed for that scratching at dawn, he understood that the true gift was not in seeing the kittens again, but in cherishing the memory, protecting the wilderness, and honoring the fragile, fleeting magic of life lived free. Who knows what tomorrow's sunrise might bring? Tim was ready to find out,